Hello and welcome back to another video. In this one, we're going to be discussing the seemingly imminent cancellation of Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. We got the news around about 4 or 5 hours ago now. It was inevitable. Unfortunately, Ariel Helwani's been kind of the only journalist really updating the fans on it. He seemed to have the inside scoop where no one else did. As usual with Ariel, seems to have very good contacts that others in the industry don't. But we've come to the realization now that the main event for 303 is off, after the cancellation of the press conference in Dublin last week. Couple that with, the in and out promotion, it was off the ESPN website, it was back on, they were advertising for the T-Mobile Arena, then they weren't again. Excuse me. So yeah, we've kind of known it's been inevitable now for, good 10, 11, 12 days, I think. But we just got the news now. Michael Chandler's been sending some cryptic tweets saying, pullouts, Chandler 0, McGregor 0. Obviously you got to feel for Michael Chandler in this spot, but ultimately they've gone with a replacement, Alex Pereira versus Yuri Prochazka in a rematch for the light heavyweight championship. Just to add insult to injury as well, the co-main event is now off. Jamal Hill, I think, has had to pull out of the Carlos Ulberg fight, so he's now fighting Anthony Smith. I think the co-main event is a brand new fight. It's Diego Lopez against Brian Ortega, which should be a great fight. But you have to feel a little bit for the UFC. Yesterday was a bit of a nightmare for them. Khamzat Chimaev had to pull out of his main event next weekend in Saudi Arabia against Robert Whittaker due to a illness, Dana White said. So yeah, not a great few days for the UFC. However, they'll bounce back. They always do. A few nuggets from the McGregor-Chandler fallout. Chandler's obviously off the UFC 303 card. So, just tells you straight away that they are going to try and reschedule that. UFC are apparently exploring new dates at the end of August and the end of September, potentially. I don't believe they have pay-per-view dates on either of those dates from the report that I read this morning. So, they'll be creating a new one, possibly for McGregor versus Chandler. I believe they're keeping it under wraps, the injury Conor McGregor had. So, that will never be disclosed. But if they're looking to reschedule it that soon, I believe it'll be something quite minor for McGregor. So, as fans, I guess, hopefully we get that fight on pretty soon. For McGregor, is the body falling apart? I guess we'll see that. But, over 3 years out of the octagon now. Michael Chandler's kind of holding his whole career up on this too. He hasn't fought since kind of November 2022, I believe, against Dustin Poirier. Both men becoming seriously inactive over this saga. But, if you're Chandler, I guess you put that much time into it and effort now that you're too far, you're too deep in order to pull out or move on to something new. You put all this time in, why not wait another couple of months? For McGregor, I guess it's just a case of, he needs to get back in there as soon as possible as well. But, a lot of people, coming out saying they weren't confident this was going to happen in the first place, so on and so forth. I think it genuinely is just an injury. I think McGregor, with his history of not pulling out, has definitely tried to work on it. And eventually, I think the doctor's advice or, he's just not been able to train or something like that. I think they've explored absolutely every avenue in order to keep this fight on. But unfortunately, obviously it's had to be off. But how much of a stud's Alex Pereira, coming in defending his belt on a couple of weeks' notice. Not many champions in the UFC would do that. Chance for Yuri to get his revenge, obviously, on their first fight, which was competitive until Pereira stopped him. Lopez against Brian Ortega will be a very good co-main event too. But it does leave a bit of a sour taste in the mouth. For months and months it's been announced for a long time. McGregor Chandler. Been waiting, and we get to a couple of weeks before it, and it's just been nothing but negativity. And, we've kind of knew that something was going on with the fight for a while now. So, yeah, just another bad day as a UFC fan. But I'm sure we'll get there. I'm sure we'll get the Conor McGregor fight and Michael Chandler. It's going to be an absolute war for how long it lasts. If we have to wait an extra couple of months to ensure McGregor's healthy, then so be it. We've waited 3 years for the return anyway. But yeah, fascinating, what Hunter Campbell and Dana and all the rest of them would have had to go through probably to get this scrambling behind the scenes. But let me know in the comments what you think about the cancellation of the main event, UFC 303, McGregor versus Chandler.